I doubt I am the only one who suspects that current events and those of the recent past are pointing toward a dangerous future. What I'm referring to is the growing possibility of an all-out superpower conflict involving weapons of mass destruction. 2 years ago, I left Manhattan for this very reason. Looking back, I believe that the events of the past 2 years have largely vindicated that decision. While we haven't yet reached the point of a full-scale nuclear war, we are definitely edging closer to it every week. Before I go any further, I would like to announce that my book has just been discounted. You can now get it for roughly half the price. The link is below. In the past, I used to think that anyone who refused to leave the major city centers was beyond hope, but I have recently changed my mind. I now believe that survival is still possible, even if you live in the heart of New York City, Washington, D.C., or London, or wherever, provided that you have one key item, a bicycle. In this video, I will explain how you can prepare for the worst case scenario. Do I want such a scenario to unfold? Of course not. But I do believe that it's better to be cautious and prepared than to be caught off guard in the middle of chaos. If you look at global events, it's clear that NATO is becoming increasingly aggressive toward Russia and other places. Recent attacks on nuclear bombers deep inside Russian territory, for example, could have triggered catastrophic consequences. These were carried out without provocation, without a declaration of war, and with little thought given to the possible fallout, both nuclear and political. The attacks on Iranian bases followed a similar pattern: no warning, no legality, and no consideration of the risks, especially if significant nuclear stockpiles would have been hit. Given all of this, I believe that the BRICS nations, Russia, China, Iran, and others, are becoming more resolute, more coordinated, and more motivated to prepare for the worst. They may even be preparing to strike back, using everything they've got, which would, of course, include weapons of mass destruction. That's why I chose to relocate. I now live 70 miles north of New York City, protected by mountain ranges over 1,000 feet high and buffered by significant physical distance from Manhattan. Is this a guarantee of safety? No. But it is a pretty good hedge against the unthinkable. So what would I do if I was still living in New York City and woke up one day to breaking news such as Russia crossing into Poland or the Baltics, or Iran launching nuclear strikes on US bases? Such actions would spiral the world into a full-scale nuclear war within hours. My first step would be to evacuate the city center. The second would be to ensure that I have access to a secure and well-stocked storage location, permitting me and my family to survive without supplies or outside help for several weeks or even months. If I could get myself and my family out of the city to a safe location with sufficient resources, we would likely make it through the initial wave of the disaster. After a few weeks, whatever remains of the government would probably begin distributing supplies to civilians in the affected areas, as they have done many times in history. To make an evacuation possible under extreme conditions, I would rely on one simple tool, the bicycle. It could be a regular human-powered bike or even a gasoline-powered motorcycle. However, I'm skeptical of electric bikes. They have limited range, depend on charging infrastructure, and are vulnerable to electric warfare. Even gasoline bikes have electronic components. China has recently demonstrated bombs designed not to destroy infrastructure or to kill people, but to disable anything electric or internet connected. These EMP weapons would knock out electronics in everything from cell phones to cars. Even gas pumps would not work since they rely on electric components and the internet. Grocery store checkouts and any place using credit cards would fail the same way. That's why I believe in reliance on fully mechanical, human-powered bikes for mobility. In a disaster, simplicity could ensure survival. If you could make it at least 50 miles from the city center, that would be enough in most scenarios. An average person can cover that distance in 5 to 7 hours on a bicycle, depending on the terrain. Even a distance of 70 or 80 miles is doable in a single day if necessary. Compare this to a car. In an actual emergency, mass panic would clog every major road out of the city. We have seen this happen in Kiev at the beginning of the current war and in Louisiana when the levees broke in 2005. Cars became useless. People ran out of fuel and were stuck for days in traffic jams. A bicycle can bypass all of that by riding on sidewalks, shoulders, greenways, or off-road wherever space is available. Ideally, each family member should have their own bike. A cargo bike is even better because it can carry belongings, children, and pets. If I still lived in Manhattan, I would do the following. First, I would rent a storage space north of the city high above sea level. Second, I would stock it with essential supplies, food, water, vitamins, supplements, even a tent, and anything else needed to survive a few weeks off-grid. Third, I would maintain enough bicycles to carry each family member. By preparing ahead, there would be no need to scramble at the last minute. No need to join the thousands flooding the highways trying to pack a car and escape under pressure. I could just get on the bike and leave. Once at the storage site, I'd have what I needed to survive even if the grid is down, the internet is dead, and no help is coming. I know this plan may sound dramatic to some, and yes, I could be wrong. Perhaps peace is around the corner. Maybe the West will succeed in its geopolitical goals and war can be avoided. Perhaps Trump and Putin become best friends and start playing golf together in DC. If that happens, all I have lost is a few $100s for storage. I can use up the supplies over time and keep the tent for future camping trips with nothing wasted. But if I'm not wrong and end up facing a nuclear attack without any preparation, I could pay for my optimism with my life. I'd rather spend a little extra now than to have to face a possible catastrophe without a plan. If the worst does happen, and I do survive, my bicycle may be the most valuable possession for years to come. After World War II, much of Europe got around on bicycles and bike cars similar to today's velomobiles. The Vespa scooter was invented in 1947 because most people could not afford a car. Fuel and infrastructure were scarce. Tiny engines and simple mechanical vehicles ruled the streets. This might happen again. So that's my plan. If you have been following this channel, you must have noticed that my Brompton Interceptor has been downgraded to a fully human-powered bike for this very reason. If I guessed wrong, I can rebuild it even better than it was before once we have a solid peace deal in place. Until then, I have bought spare tires and parts to keep it running for years. What do you think of my strategy? Do you believe that peace is just around the corner and that there's nothing to worry about? Either way, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Remember to like, subscribe, and don't forget to check out my book, now available at half price, along with my shopping links below. I'll see you soon in the next video. I am happy to announce an update to my shopping page. I have removed a lot of this stuff because all of the Amazon links that I have are now over on my Amazon front page. I am providing a link below. This is my book. This is all of the other stuff I recommend. And I have some t-shirts and hoodies as well. These are my own designs. And you can select them right down here. A separate link for the t-shirts, separate link for the hoodies. You can even get to Brompton and Zooter and some of the other things that you can buy from Amazon. And as well as a lot of accessories that I recommend, the grips I recommend, the brakes, the helmets, the tires, the winter stuff, the saddle, the tools, everything I believe in that Amazon has. Now Amazon doesn't have everything, so some of the stuff I have left in my original shopping page that's still at the same URL. You can check out these companies. I am not actually making any money on these links, but I think it's important for you to have access to these technologies. And these are the bikes I recommend. If you ever wonder what the full list of my recommendations are, this is the full list. Check it out. And of course, this is my book and a link to the Amazon storefront. This is it for now, and
I'll be back.